WNST, Towson, Baltimore, and Baltimore Positive. We are positively taking the Maryland Crab Cake Tour out on the road. We've got 2 crab cakes in between. I'm going to have 2, just one alone at Greenmount Station on Friday afternoon as they open, and it is official. Open at noon on Friday for sports wagering up in Hampstead, Carroll County. We'll be there with the Maryland Lottery. My friends at Goodwill, of course, for Halloween. Use Goodwill and win donation, 866-90-NATION, getting out. So I have a crab cake there, and then I'm back in Dundalk. I'll be at Drug City, where I rented a lot of videotapes that I never rewound and paid far too much when I kept the tape too long. $1 a day every day back in the day. We'll be at the Fountain at Drug City next Friday. Hope everybody comes out, says hello. It'll be November already. It's like sort of the middle of the year, but not really, because we have 11 days off. Dennis Koulatsos is well rested after a long Thursday evening. When the game ended and I was in bed 12 minutes later, I thought, I could be underneath Raymond James Stadium right now, not nearly as happy as I once was underneath Raymond James Stadium. And in the aftermath of this one, I thought, I can't wait to talk to Dennis about this, because Dennis will be talking about this over in the lot all weekend. It was unbelievable how poorly they threw the ball in the first half. It's almost like Harbaugh read my column this last week when I said ground Roman. And so ground Roman was the way. Dennis, they're going to win running the ball. They might pass it okay here and again when it's their plan to pass it. Thursday night happened, and now they have injured guys, which is, have at it. How are you, man? Cheers.
Cheers. It's that game had a little bit of everything, right? A lot of drama, great storylines everywhere. And look, with the Bucs having a starting safety out, 2 corners out that were banged up on the defensive side of the ball, you had to figure they were going to try them, go after those corners, right? Go after their safeties. I didn't think it was going to be 30 passes. I don't think anyone envisioned Lamar putting it up 30 passes in the first half. And you and I had talked earlier that 20, 25 passes a game, that's a sweet spot, right? So they're throwing the ball all over the place. But what I find fascinating is at the post-game presser, Harbaugh said, yeah, that's exactly what we wanted to do. We wanted to chuck the ball all over the place for the entire half. And no, we did not make any halftime adjustment. This was the plan all along, which is something I just cannot believe, Nestor. You had to figure, somebody said, listen, let's just run the damn ball, right? I can't believe they were trying to gas the Buccaneers via the pass.
Are you saying that John Harbaugh might be full of manure?
I think so. I think it was Coach Cheese. You know what? It's
Listen, I wrote a book about their integrity, and people that call me out on the internet, you hate the Ravens now.
No, you don't hate the Ravens. Come on now.
You stop. But if you're asking me whether they have integrity, I mean, he sat there at halftime with the paid National Football League representative from Amazon Prime on the field and said, I got nothing to do. And 30 seconds later, Andrews is in street gear.
Yeah,
I mean,
like Cheese.
There's an allergy to truth. You know
what, guys like him, they lie with integrity, right? That's how they frame it.
They lie with integrity. Hold on.
Yes.
Can I steal that from my columnist? That's
absolutely.
That's a wise thing to say.
It's like telling a white lie. It doesn't hurt anybody in the short term or long term, and it's a little white lie for them. That and they're going to be secretive in terms of what they do, how they game plan, the locker room conversations. He's a lot like Bill Belichick than most people think he is, in terms of being secretive and paranoid and keeping things in house, right? But you can't tell me or yourself or anybody lying eyes that they weren't some significant halftime adjustments. Mike McDonald, he made adjustments, right? And Ravens Nation in the first half, they were melting down on Twitter, Nestor. It was hysterical. Fire Roman, fire Harbaugh, fire everyone, right?
Well, they're all still up there. People don't pull those tweets down, so.
But in the second half, it was like, okay, there were crickets. No credit given for the team's performance in the second half. So they'll rock this group of fans, I guess, like every group of fans, will throw rocks at the team when things are going poorly, but they will not give some recognition, some measure of credit to coordinators and players and coaches when things do turn out well.
All right, top down. Luke and I have gone after this. You can find it at Baltimore Positive. Find it anywhere that we ship the social media. Of course, Luke is having a cup of coffee and enjoying some Royal Farms chicken here this weekend because he's got a little downtime. They've got a little downtime. I don't know whether Harbaugh let the families hang out in Florida and Lamar will be spotted in Pompano Beach on Saturday night. I don't know, right? But I would think that this is a nice exhale for them. These last two games, winnable games, they won them. They get to hang out now. But there is a point with this, and I'm not a Debbie Downer about this. I'm trying to be realistic about where they are with the trading deadline on Tuesday, right? Bateman, can you count on him? I don't know. You tell me. Mark Andrews was in street clothes. It's very obvious he now has an upper and lower body injury, to bring it into Harbaugh National Hockey League parlance. So I would just say he's dinged up, as they would say, right? We had Queen in the tent at one point, Marlon Humphrey off the field. Calais Campbell never even got on the plane. And the Gus bus, he got it, like this was a body bag game in that way. And the fact that they survive it, win, beat the goat, blah, blah, ran the ball, did things well. The fact that we're talking about the offensive line as being the strength of the team and that they can run at will if they have the right back situation and if Lamar is willing to mix it up, which he ran into some linebackers after. I'm not going to talk about Shannon Sharp's partner in media and what Bish,
just a few hours before the game, right? He broke that story just a few hours before the game. But I tell you what, I do think there is some truth to that, right? Because you look at Lamar's body language, he looks to me like a guy who has checked out a bit, and I'll tell you why. When a company, an organization lets an employee down, when the employee perceives that he or she's been slighted, a passionate employee, and that employee becomes quiet. You don't want your people to become quiet, right? Your best people, when they
I became quiet on the Ravens years ago. You've known about this issue with Chad Steve. I became quiet, right? And who was more passionate about them than me? You're right. I got quiet before I got loud.
So you had a passion that became a job. You're still doing your job. You're still covering the Ravens as a journalist, right? As a well-respected journalist. Lamar Jackson, when he steps on the field, he is playing for his teammates. I don't believe he's playing for the organization anymore. After the game, I don't know if you saw it, but some fan had a sign, pay the man, pay Lamar, and Lamar not only held it up, he signed that sign. I guarantee you, if that fan had a check, like one of those big checks that the charities have all the time,
$250 million.
Lamar Jackson would have signed it, and I think that's what's missing. So next home game, I'm going to bring a check to the stadium, make my way to the field, and say, "Here you go, Lamar." And I guarantee you, Lamar Jackson puts his John Hancock on that line.
It's interesting you'd say that because you've managed people to much higher level than I. Like I failed miserably at managing people, right? I don't know my personality, the people I had, I think a combination thereof, right? But I would say for any employee I ever had who felt like I short shrifted them, that was the end. Like whether I did or didn't, right? Like, and everybody, my former employees are, you can go find them and ask them what they think of me or whatever. But the minute they felt like I took 5 cents away from them or 5 cents too much, or they felt disrespected in whatever way, you know what I mean? You can give them the mic, you can put them up, you can pay them every time, but the minute that it goes the other way, I mean, that's an amazing thing that Lamar Jackson went into the state of Florida where he gets more money if he signs down there and holds that thing up. I mean, that's a total middle finger to Steve Bisciotti, right? Like, I don't know how it can be perceived any other way.
Well, everything speaks, but in his defense, right, when you're an owner, you bring in your best person and you tell them that, look, we got to be 100% with each other and let's work to that end, right? You can dig your heels in, the person could dig their heels in, but you also have to convey, I love you, I want you here. Let's try to figure it out some way, somehow, because you don't want that person disconnected from your organization. You don't want that passion. You don't want to turn a passion into a job. When you have a hyper passionate, hyper competitive, wonderful employee. And I think this is what's happened with Lamar. So yeah, he'll get on the field. He'll run into linebackers against his better judgment. It looks like he's been hesitant to run at times, right? But I do believe there's some truth to what Bale has said. I don't think it's all the way true, but I do think just looking at Lamar's body language, he just seems off. That fire, that spark. And I was glad to see him wave off Justin Tucker. But again, he gets caught up in a moment on the field doing his job, but not his passion.
Dennis Koulatsos with strong words. You'll have him again on Sunday morning. He does the Sunday morning Sunday Sports Voice this weekend, and then of course next week Thursday we'll have a long time off here. He's back on 3 until 5 here at AM 1570, and of course the Baltimore Positive. You know, I'm taking notes right now, turning a passion into a job. Let's talk about offense and let's talk about running and passing and the strength of this team now in the offensive line and the aftermath of this, other than Lamar holding a sign, pay the man and whatever, it's Tyler Linderbaum road grading, you know, and White and several others, you know, through this. This offensive line, Ronnie Stanley back, and as Luke Jones pointed out here earlier today, looking more like real Ronnie Stanley, not like shell of former self. That this is a time for them to play one football game, maybe with Isaiah Likely at tight end, and you can still go to New Orleans and win. I guess Calais is a sickness. You know, I don't think it's injury related. But this next game, stealing this game, being 6-3 at the bye after you already felt like a bye. Because right now, as you and I are talking, it feels like a long time for it to go play next Monday night, right? It just feels like we're going to watch 2 full Sundays of football. We're going to watch a whole World Series. We're going to see a parade. Oh, and then the Ravens are going to go play the Saints, right? Like at the end of the end. So they're going to have a lot of time here. And Harbaugh has always talked about managing injuries and we're bringing in the best health and this and time and when we're going to sleep and when we're going to travel and what nutrients we're going to have and what media is going to be in the room and all this other things that he wants to micromanage. Man, this feels like a really nice spot for them to walk out on the field on the 20th of the month, Thanksgiving, for crying out loud. We're not even a Halloween yet, and have a home game where if you're asking me, did they make a trade on Tuesday? Is Bateman like on the field? If he is, he's a different. I'm not down on after seeing Perryman the other night. I'm not going to equate one with the other. I mean, if Bateman's healthy, and that's an if, and where we are with the health in general of dinged up football players here, and where Edwards is, where Andrews, the important guys, Humphrey. I mean, the important guys. Where is their state of fitness at that point to go and not play 8 weeks, to play 12, 13 weeks and go win a Super Bowl? Because, you know, 10-7 and lose to the Bengals or lose to the Bills, lose to the Chiefs, that's not going to ring the bell here in January. You know that. I mean, I think the expectations ramp up when they go beat Tom Brady on 4 days.
Well, a lot of guys are dropping like flies around the league, and that's not just in Baltimore. Their players are talking about grass fields versus turf fields. The injuries are much more, the non-contact injuries are much more prevalent on a turf field than a grass field. And when you have a product such as what they have, and you want to protect your investment, the league shouldn't have a turf field anywhere. Every single stadium should feature a grass field, and I think the players should make a huge stink out of it to minimize some of these things, so that way they can enjoy healthier, better careers, and also the NFL can put a better product on the field. With that said, I do think that Eric DeCosta needs to make a move. He needs to figure it out. DJ Moore is out there. The Panthers, they stink. They jettisoned Christian McCaffrey to San Francisco. DJ Moore, former Terp, he is a wide receiver 1. I see what Harry Roseman has done up there in Philadelphia. A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, put him around Jalen Hurts. And to me, who was Lamar Jackson thrown to Sunday night?
Well, Lamar Jackson in Miami would be hell right now with those receivers. And honestly, Tampa we didn't have a full complement of Tampa with what they have, but Lamar Jackson throwing to Mike Evans would be a difference maker.
He doesn't have a wide receiver 1. I mean, A.J. Moore, I project A.J. Moore and Devontae Smith on this Ravens squad, and this is a Super Bowl team with those two guys on it. Without them, they're not. They're very good. They're a good team, But to take the next step, I do think Eric needs to come up with those draft picks. I mean, how many more second, third, and fourth round draft picks do they need to invest in a wide receiver when he doesn't become the guy, or even a first round draft pick? So why not take a proven player and come off of that draft pick, Nestor? It makes zero sense to me.
Dennis Koulatsos, you can find him at D Koulatsos, and of course you can find him out at Coons Baltimore Ford, working all weekend. Here's we get into Halloween weekend, and everybody get dressed up at your place this weekend. You got a dress up day?
They get dressed up Saturday and Monday, and we're also giving our the people that work with us, our great employees, time off Monday evening, although it's the last day of the month, to go out and trick or treat with their families, with their kids, grandkids. Look, you got to put family first.
So you shut the dealership on Monday night?
We're not shutting it down. We have, a lot of us.
Skeleton crew. That's pretty funny. That's good. You like that?
It's a skeleton crew. I like that.
There you go. You can do that.
So we get down to a skeleton crew, because when you're in life, sometimes as you grow and you look back on things that you missed out on, things perhaps you should have done, you get a chance to make it right, if not for yourself, for other people.
Well, there you go, man. All right, so let's get back onto the field here, passing and running. And what we saw, and I would say to you, what have we learned? What did we learn on Thursday night? For me, is what I wrote all week at my columnist, which is they're a running team. They're built to be a running team. This offensive line was built to run. It run blocks better. Although I saw some stat that they're a top 5 pass blocking team, and I'm like, you haven't watched them play. I mean, you get your head out of the nerd guy. By the way, Aaron Schatz is coming on from Football Outsiders. The godfather of all things analytics will come on and nerd me up here this week. So I got some special stuff. But the offense in running and what they can do, and a bunch of Olivers and Williams and Likeleys catching, what do they say, the Jackson Joes and the Manny and Moes or whatever it is, right?
Yep.
That has to improve, through this. But they basically went out and won with the second team and won with a preseason look with a top flight offensive line and with Lamar, obviously. But thinking about them doing this again without Gus Edwards, without Mark Andrews, without Rashad Bateman, they got to get healthier, but they also need to run the ball once they get healthy.
And this is where the defense comes in. I like Mike McDonald. I'm more bullish on him than most people are. And when you're looking at getting back Tyus Bowser, putting David Ojabo in the field, and also Marcus Williams coming back, this defense could actually improve and get a lot better the second half of the season. So I'm very excited about the pieces they're getting back. They had a nice pass rush on Tom Brady. They got pressure up the middle. They got pressure around the edge. And this was with Justin Houston on the pitch count and also JPP. Give those guys less reps. Let them come off the bench with a lot of fire. Incorporate these young edge rushers in Bowser and Ojabo. And I do think that this team rides a defense into the playoffs.
Well, and for them, Tucker got a kick block, the crazy long kick, and then there was another occasion, and they won the game. We don't talk about Harbaugh's decision on fourth down when they win the game, right? But it's so peculiar, all of it, right? I mean, it really is.
Hey, Lamar waving off Tucker, and I was hoping that Tucker would wave off Lamar. In that situation, I was screaming, take the points. Just take the damn points, right? And then special teams, I mean, this kid, Jordan Stout, man, what a leg he has. He's been a weapon for the Ravens so far this season. And Tucker and Duvernay, I mean, they're dialed in. And a lot of people, they don't pay attention to the importance of special teams. And that's where you get those secret yards in every game. So to me, special teams has been the best unit, followed by the defense, and with the offense being a third. And the offense has a chance to improve as well, but I'm really excited about the defense.
Do you remember when Stover, they had another guy kicking off for him all the time, and now they've moved things around and the guys have these supercharged legs? With Tucker, that's another part of the game, which is he puts the ball through. They never return the ball. Harbaugh probably like, I like it better that way. Or there's a situational pooch where we'll make the ball land at the 2-yard line, which Tucker could do if he needed to do as well. We'll go down and cover. We'll stop him, put him back at the 15 or whatever, or think we're going to do that in coverage. The special teams part of this, we never talk about that. We all talk offense, defense, but the magic for them in field position, just a game of field position. That's what special teams is all about.
Yeah, it's field position. And the only time they will allow a returner to bring the ball back is when they're trying to force a fumble. That's the only time that Tucker does not kick it out of the end zone. But yeah, you got to give their Chris Horton, the whole uh, staff of the Ravens. They and John Harbaugh too. I mean, he was a special teams coach, right? He knows what he's looking at when it comes to special teams, and those yards matter. Field position is huge, especially as you said for running teams such as this one. And I do like Justice Hill and I like Kenny and Drake. So when Gus Edwards went out, they still have enough firepower to fire off the ball and get some significant yards.
Yeah, they even had to fall on an onside kick at the end, right? They had to.
Likely.
Yeah, they've done fire drills on that out Knowings Mills for 6 months. It's like, all right, where are the good hands people, right? Let's get them up in the front.
But it's so funny though, and who makes it all go though? On offense, it's still Lamar Jackson. You can see on those mesh points when everybody's going to the right and Lamar hands off and goes to the left, it freezes those linebackers and safeties and defensive backs because God forbid he keeps the ball. He is gone. You don't want to be in the open field trying to bring down Lamar Jackson one-on-one. He's a big quarterback. He's not a small quarterback. And when he tucks the ball in, he becomes a running back. He's the only quarterback in the league that's an actual running back, not looking to slide when he takes off with the football. And that puts a ton of pressure on the defense.
He's hard to get off his feet now, because they talked about tackling him, that he's slender, not like you can get your arms around him a little bit if you're a big man, right?
Yeah,
but
a big man.
But there's the point where his legs are stronger than you think. And I was watching NFL Network just before, and some guys were talking about that, and I thought that's an interesting way to put it. And he's put on the strength, right?
He has.
And listen, when it comes to him versus Brady, and as it was portrayed in the pregame and where they are, I found it to be kind of a shame it was a 4-day off, right? Like, I know our fans are down there on the beach in Clearwater having a good time,
Sure.
tarpon fishing, doing whatever they're doing. Going to Disney World, which is what I was going to do this weekend with my wife, and go to Epcot. We're not. It's Halloween weekend. We'll make it. But there was a point for me where I would have preferred to see them on Monday night next week, see the Saints or, whatever, where you get a really good look at them. And certainly for Brady, it's probably the last time the Ravens will play Tom Brady, right? Mm-hmm. Like, he's not coming back to play in Cincinnati or Cleveland in our division where we'll get a look at him. Lord knows. I mean, Giselle wants him back, and who knows, right? Where his personal life is. But I found his urgency to win and his anger and his pissed off for greatness and his chewing on the lineman, he's 45 years old. I don't know, man. I feel a little bit of sadness in it. Not that because he can still play and he still wants to play. I do wonder why, though. And I always say this to you, and a little off the field. You got a minute, right? Monday night, my friend Mark Weller from Weller Development, built everything in Port Covington, right? He's been a guest on my show. We've been trying to get together. He texts me at 3:00 on Monday. He's like, hey, I'm doing a thing with Cal Ripken tonight. Come. And I'm like, it's game night. I said, I'm not good company. I was getting a haircut. Thank you, Paulie. I wound up going down, and I walk in. Brett Hollander was there, and it was a beautiful thing for Cal Senior, for the foundation, doing great work for kids. And Cal says hello. I saw him a couple weeks ago, but we were hanging out. He said, my son, you should get my son on your podcast. He loved, so we were like, I said, I've never even met your son. I don't know your son at all. He said, oh, give me your card. I'll get Ryan on your show. So I see this Cal Ripken relaxed legend, you know what I mean, up on stage doing another, it wasn't rubber chicken, it was giant crabs. I mean, it was a crab event, right? It was a very high-end, beautiful event that they had. And I just saw this relaxed version of Cal, and I remember Cal when he played, and Cal was great when he played. Now, in retrospect, given how I'm treated by Marlon Humphrey, or guys who think that their ish doesn't stink, it's like, and how I was treated by Ed Reed and Ray Lewis, and in a good way, I mean, for, in a professional way, in an absolutely professional way. I never had a non-professional moment with any of these people. And Cal being relaxed and happy in his second marriage, talk to her. She's beautiful. She's lovely. They're out having a nice night. It was on the water. It wasn't crowded, but it was cool. Nobody really bothered much with Cal. He's like the biggest celebrity in the room, but nobody really bothered, like he wasn't selfieing, or it wasn't that kind of a room. And I thought, he's so happy. And I'm sitting in the back having his 80s, eating an oyster, and I'm like, Cal, man. I went to China with Cal, like I saw Cal happy after wins, sad. I was in the locker room talking to Cal when they lost to the Indians and like, what the hell happened, And I'm seeing him happy, and then I see Tom Brady out there like working. I mean,
Yeah, but
and I know you love running your dealership, but if you're 83 and I come out to your dealership and you're still working, there's this part of your heritage and who you are and your work ethic and who I am where you're like, is is he there because he needs to be or wants to be? I know he's got enough money. I know he's got a pension. I know he didn't have to be here. There's something really honorable in that way with Tom Brady, but there's also something like, dude, get off the stage. I mean, you got nothing left to prove. And it's not even like embarrassing to be there. But I'm thinking to myself, man, he's addicted to this. Like
he
addicted to
is.
this.
No, I think if his, I mean, look, I hope his marriage doesn't fall apart. I hope that keep it together. But if I can see him playing another 4, 5, 6 years, barring injury, if that's what he wants to do. If he wants to set all kind of crazy records and longevity records, and look, I can't handicap that. I'm not walking in his shoes. I don't know what the situation is like, but we talked about it before. There's a dark side to success, but there's also a bigger dark side, in my opinion, and failure too. That's the other part of it. No matter what, and you know what, whether I'm working here at Baltimore for 83 or not, I just hope I'm still around at 83.
Well, you're happy doing what you're doing. That if you're golfing,
Yeah,
you love golf, right? I
I
mean,
mean, your
if you're
age, your
fishing, you love
age,
fishing.
father time is undefeated. That's for sure, right? So we do it one day at a time. Tomorrow's not guaranteed. We just enjoy the beauty of every day.
Well, in the case of Brady, I just that did strike me as he walked off the field 3-5, and I'm thinking, what are you doing here? What are you still doing in the bar? I mean,
Hey,
that was just the part that hit me in sort of and I've rooted against that guy from the beginning of time. I don't. I like Joe Burrow. There was never a point where Tom Brady played where I was like rooting for him. After the first one, he got in our way. They cheated. They were a bunch of cheat, like all of that. And I don't even I don't even hate the guy like in that way. I did feel a little tinge of sadness. I don't know what else to say.
I felt sad last year when we thought we had seen the last of Tom Brady. I enjoy watching him play. I don't particularly like him. I always hated the Patriots and Deflategate and whatnot. But I'm thinking as he's walking off the field, yeah, he's upset. But they're 3-5 in the worst division in football. They may win the division at 7-10, and once they get in the playoffs, anything could happen. I'm sure that's Tom's mindset right now. I don't think he's thinking about much else. I mean, his personal situation aside, but as a competitor, they're certainly still in the thick of things in their division.
Yeah, I mean that disappointment he showed when because it's such a game of precision, right? You
It
see
is.
that with him as to where he thinks you're going to be. And unlike anybody else that's ever played the game, even Peyton Manning, John Elway, any of the guys that were generals, man, you're out on the field with Brady. Like, he knows where the ball's going. He knows the defense. He knows what everybody's capable of doing. And you got to get there. And when you don't, oh my God, it kind of blew my mind
Yeah.
from a field
Oh, yeah.
standpoint.
But for me, I said my goodbyes to Brady a year ago when I thought he was done. I felt bad that we wouldn't see the greatest quarterback of all time play again. He retires this year. I will not have the same sentiment. I'll be, you know what? It's no matter what he does, no matter the outcome, it's enough. It is time for Tom to walk away. That's obvious.
It's got a deal with Fox Television too. If you didn't notice that in the broadcast, I think
37 million dollars a year. Come on, man. How do you not even look at that?
all the more reason as to what are you doing on the field tonight, dude?
That's
And
hard to defend. You're talking to your wife and no concussions, right? You spend a lot of time with the family, and you're going to get paid $37 million, Nestor, to announce 20 games, whatever. Throw preseason. Who cares? You're making bank and you're staying healthy, and
but he's got
that's
something to prove, man.
that's hard to defend, man. I won't want to defend that one.
Dennis, appreciate you, man. He'll be tell me what's going on over Coons Baltimore 4, because I mean it is a big holiday weekend and weather's changing and your inventory's changed, right? I mean, like literally, you got some cars.
Yeah.
You're always honest in these press conferences with me, unlike the head coach at. I mean, when you didn't have cars, you said I don't have cars. Like literally, you can't BS people, right?
Yeah, now I got about 150 brand new vehicles. We're closing out the month. You got Halloween weekend, and Business is good. Rates are good for Ford Motor Credit. A lot of trade-ins, a lot of used car inventory. But yeah, it's a phenomenal time, and we compete. We want to be the tip of the spear. We make every deal that we possibly can. And we do have inventory to mention. That's a big deal.
Well, when's the last time you had 150 cars on a lot?
Oh my God, it's got to be probably in March of 2020. It's
I mean,
right
that's
when
amazing.
COVID hit. It's been a long time. Long
Well,
time.
if I would have told you you're in the car selling business and didn't have any cars to sell, right? I mean,
But you know what? Dealers are very resilient. As a group, we're resourceful and we figure it out. So when something zigs, we zag. Gas goes up, we stock fuel efficient pre-owned vehicles. Gas goes down, then we bring out the big boys. And we always figure it out. We're a tough animal.
well, my wife's a creature of habit, right? So she's never clicked and bought a car online, still hasn't, even though for months you're like, click, buy, get exactly what you want. You'll get a good deal. Financing was free, if not, like all of that.
Yeah,
And now all of a sudden, but if she come over and sit in it, she didn't even care if
absolutely.
it's pea green with, icicle interior.
No, we have a
She'll
nice
sit in
selection.
it.
She'll be very pleased with what she'll see. We have a great selection. We have more underway. Looks like the shortage is starting to diminish, and we're getting more and more vehicles. So it's a great time to come out and see us.
Well, I want to be as happy as Cal Ripken was on Thursday night, and it just wasn't the size of the crabs at the party.
There
So
you
we'll
go.
spend our weekend having some fun, enjoying trick or treating and Halloween and all that good stuff as we head into a football weekend where we can exhale. We've already won 5-3. Ravens getting ready for New Orleans. Luke is out in Owings Mills. Dennis will be back on Sunday morning and again on Thursday afternoon, getting you ready from 3 until 5 here on AM 1570. I'm Nestor. We are WNST AM 1570, Towson, Baltimore. We never stop talking Baltimore. Positive.